Hi y'all, it's Mary. It is Sunday evening at 8 o'clock and this is Stamps-N-Lingers and we're fixing to do a card tutorial. Facebook has already dropped me once, so hopefully that's my one time tonight. So I think I have broken the code, I believe. So here's the thing, I will have to start the video each week and then just plan on it disconnecting me instantaneously and we'll start over. So hopefully I have the code now and we'll be good to go. And I see some folks coming in. Hi Jean, hi Jean. Not hi Jean, hi Jean and Jean. So I'm so glad you guys could join tonight. I appreciate it very much. And like I said, hopefully that will be the one Facebook disconnect. I don't know why that's doing it all of a sudden, but it sure as heck is. So tonight, hey Julie, how are you? I'm glad you're here. Ginger, good to see you tonight. And Anne, I appreciate y'all taking some time. Hi Paula, dank and dreary, huh? Ew, doesn't sound good. Hi Karen. We'll wait a few seconds for some folks to get on. And I guess I'll just yammer a second. We had a death in the family last week. My husband's granny died. Not sudden, not unexpected, and not a shock. She was 98 years old, so she'd had a heck of a run. And she was more than ready to go home. So I'm glad she's there now and not suffering kind of the way she was. But she raised my husband, and so it was a big shock for us. Thank you, Jean. I appreciate that. Hey, Sharon. Thank you for joining. Hi, Donna. And Mary, hello. Cynthia, appreciate y'all coming on. Hi, Barb. Thank you, Donna. Yeah, she was a good woman. She had like 16 grandchildren or great-grandchildren, I guess, and 10 great-great-grandchildren. So, like I said, she'd had a good run, but it was kind of a shock for Wayne. Not a shock, a blow. But as it is, that means I needed sympathy cards. Thank you so much, Aaliyah. I appreciate that. And Paula. So there are 3 children in the family, 2 daughters and a son. And so I thought I would send sympathy cards to everyone. Did she live close? No, she's in Hot Springs, Arkansas. Wayne didn't go. He's getting past a few health issues, and so that was just too long of a drive. So he didn't get to go, but he did get to see her last year, and that was good. He got to see her while she was still granny, and that's how he wanted to remember her anyway. So that's good. So as I said, I wanted to make some sympathy cards, and I started with this one. It uses the beautiful new Hold On to Hope stamp set. I really, really love this stamp set, and I hope it's one that makes it into the annual catalog next year. And I used the matching Cross of Hope framelits to make the front, and you might recognize some Petal Passion DSP there. And then on the inside, I did a little differently than normal. Thank you, Nancy. I appreciate that. Thanks, Alicia. I used 2 liners, and I did it mostly because I really couldn't decide between all the wonderful kind of sentiments that we have available to us. I love this Bible verse, and so I wanted that on there. But I also really wanted the praying for friends to comfort you, faith to uphold you, and loving memories to heal your heart, which is from the Thoughts and Prayers stamp set, which is in the annual catalog. So I did them both. I didn't think it was too much. And it's my card, and they're going to like it, I believe. And then, of course, I have the envelope with the matching envelope flap. Hey, Jean, thank you so much. Hi, Kathy and Karen. Glad you guys could join. Thank you, Nancy. I appreciate it. So this is the one that will go to David, who is the son. And then the 2 daughters, and the one we're going to make tonight, I did it exactly the same way, but I sponged the background in pinks instead of blue. And I know that's a little trite, but I thought it was the right thing to do. So that's what we're going to use tonight. Like I said, we're going to be using the Hold On to Hope stamp set, which is truly, I really like it. It's a beautiful set. And of course the matching framelits are quite wonderful. I particularly like the crosses and the flourish, which you're going to see used tonight. But I used the solid and the detailed cross as well as the thinner cross to make kind of a layered art element here. All right, and I'm only showing you this now because I've already pre-cut those, because gosh, how many times can you really watch me cut something on the Big Shot or emboss something on the Big Shot? So let us get started. Let's set these aside. I also used a bunch of banners to make my sentiment. Y'all, this is like one of my favorite sentiment banners. It just cuts a perfect banner. It's a great size. And you get this added little extra frame to use for another time if you're one of those pack rat people like I am. So let us commence, shall we? Alrighty. Now I have a little stack of stuff here, as you might imagine. Let's set these aside so that I don't make a mess on here. Hey, Mattia, thank you for joining. Did I say that right? Mattia? I hope. Okay. And Beverly, hey, hello. Thank you, Karen. I appreciate it. All right. So these card cuts will all be on my blog tomorrow. Let's set those aside. Gosh, look at this mess I've got. All right. So we had the Petal Passion DSP. I've got a card front size, so it's 3 7/8 by 5 1/8, and we're going to sponge that. And then I have another piece, the same type for the envelope flap. We're also going to sponge that. And then I have 2 inner liners at 3 7/8 by 5 1/8, 2 inner liner mats at 4 inches by 5 1/4. Then I did an embossed piece. This used the Layered Leaves Dynamic Embossing Folder, which I really love. And it is 3 3/8 by 2 5/8, and then it's matte at 3 1/2 by 2 3/4. And then a matte for the card front. And we have a basic black card base for 5 1/2 by 8 1/2, scored and folded at 4 1/4. All right. Oh, good, Mattia. I'm glad that I said your name correctly. And then we have a medium whisper white envelope. So I did also pre-cut some pieces. I have a basic black cross with the solid cross die cut in Cross of Hope. And then in silver foil, I made the detailed cross. And then in Whisper White, I have the smaller kind of elegant cross. Let's call it the elegant cross. I also stamped the sentiment from Hold On to Hope, also in Hold On to Hope, and then cut it with that banner. This is in Tuxedo Black. And I heat embossed with silver a couple of the flourishes that are in the Hold On to Hope, and I embossed it in silver and then cut them both out with the die that goes with it in the Cross of Hope framelits. Just a note to self, either pull out your sticky notes or plan to use a magnetic platform, because you're going to want that for this particular die. It's a lot of parts and you need to get it lined up good, and once you do, you want it to stay there. But once you do get it lined up, it cuts pretty nicely. So we'll set those aside. Hey, Mary. Yep, it is. I love the 3 layers. It works really nicely. Hi, Janet. Nice of you to join us. I appreciate that. So why don't we go ahead and put our cross together right quick. And I'm just going to use a little bit of liquid glue on the back of the silver foil cross. And then I'm going to adhere it to the solid black cross. And then we're going to do one of the few persnickety things in this whole card. And you're going to see what I mean here in about 2 seconds. All right. Now, I popped my white cross on with some Stampin' Dimensionals because I wanted it popped up. Isn't that why anybody would use Stampin' Dimensionals? And what I did is I just used the edges of, in this case it happens to be the mini Stampin' Dimensional sheet, and I cut them. Yeah, the adhesive sheets would be good on that. I'm just so used to using the liquid glue that it tends to be what I pull out. And then as I'm putting the glue on, I think, Mary, why didn't you use the adhesive sheets? Because, duh. So all I'm doing is I'm just cutting some little pieces of this, and you'll see this is why I said it was a little persnickety, because I got big old fat fingers, and this is not working right. All right. And I maybe went a little overboard with dimensionals, but I want the whole cross to be nicely supported. So I don't actually think you can use too many dimensionals on it. I'm not sure that there is such a thing. Too many dimensionals is an oxymoron. So what do you guys think about this whole government shutdown? What a silly mess. What really annoys me the most, this will be my only political rant of the whole evening, I'm so sorry, is that Congress continues to get paid, and our military guys and gals are going to work, putting their lives in danger without being paid. And I've seen people who say, well, if that's just what they signed up for, they're doing it for love of country. You are correct. They do love their country. We did love our country. We do love our country. But there's something wrong with the people who can't get it together still getting paid. And the military folks are putting their life on the line and not making money to feed their families. And I think that just sucks. So there you go. That's it. That's all I'm going to say about that. Okay. I am not off work because I'm a contractor. I'm paid with a different money. It's money that's already been spent. So all I'm doing now is I'm just lining up these two horizontal arms and then sticking that on. And we'll set that aside for just a second and wait on it. Now, let's color. Let's color, shall we? Let's color. Hey, Nyoka, good to see you. Thank you, Carol and Nyoka, for agreeing with me. All right, so I am using the sponge brayer. Now, on my blue card, when I did this to start with, I began by putting a light layer of Pool Party all over the DSP, and then I used Marina Mist as the darker around the edges. In this case, because I'm making the pink version, we're going to use some powder pink as the middle, as the basic overall color. And then I'm going to darken the edges with Blushing Bride. All right, move that out the way. And I'm going to try to do it a little less than I did on my, yeah, Carol, yeah. It's pretty close to home for a lot of people, and it's not fair at all. All right, so I'm just going to lightly use my powder pink. Yeah. All of a sudden I was like, did I grab the Blushing Bride? I'm just going to use the powder pink. And the sponge brayer is nice. I like it actually. The more I use it, the more I like it. Better than the original brayer, which has the hard rubber roller. And it's a little easier to kind of control how much you get on there, I think, and keep it blended. So I think that this, in the blue one, where the light, it looks like, to me, this looks like you're laying on the ground and you're looking up through silhouetted leaves and you see the sun, or God light. I like to call it God light when it pops through the trees like that. And so I'm trying to keep kind of the middle lighter and then just have the edges. And I'm just barely going to touch the center to just barely pinken it up a little bit. And I think that'll be plenty with that. While I have my ink. Yeah, no, that's, hey Verna, I have heard too many times that that the military won't get paid. They'll get paid eventually. They'll get back pay, but depending on how long this goes on, it could be really quite catastrophic for some. Some of these kids, they're living paycheck to paycheck, hand to mouth. It's not like we're paying them a whole ton of money to start with, you know. So Yeah, I'm worrying about them, and I hope they get their crap together pretty quick if they're in DC. I'd like to think they're losing sleep, but I'm pretty sure they're not. All right, there we go. So now we'll put this aside and pull out the Blushing Bride to tighten up the ends. Oh, good, Linda, I'm glad to hear that. You know what, Jean? I don't actually know, but I'm gonna bet you could rinse it with water to clean it, because it is really just a sponge, and this is a water-soluble ink, so I'm betting you could do that. I just didn't, because I've got one that I've brayered in blue and one that I've brayered in pink, and that seems to be working for me. In the same way that I don't clean my sponge daubers or my Stampin' wedges particularly. I wasn't really thinking I needed to do that. However, if it came down to where I thought I needed to have like 400 sponge rollers, then probably I would just clean it. All right, so there's the piece that will later go on the envelope flap. There we go, Amy has the word. Hey, Barb, thank you for joining. Yes, Nyoka, that's correct. They have to fight for their pay. All right, here we go. So now we're just using the powder pink on the edges of my card front. And again, I'm really kind of trying to stay away from the center because I like the effect of the light coming through there. And remember, take your time with this. You don't have to get in a hurry. And as with any kind of coloring technique, you can't take it back off very easily. So like I said, take your time, get the color you want, and you'll be so happy you did it. Okay, I like it. I think I'm going to call it a day on that one. And I'm going to put my ink out the way. And I'm going to put my sponge roller out the way. And let's make some cards, people. All right, and so I'm going to use some fast fuse, she says, hoping it will eventually come out. There we go. I wonder if this is a dead soldier. Nope. Okay, here we go. So I'm going to use some fast fuse, and I'm putting it on a smoky slate mat. Why did I do that? Well, because I had run out of silver foil. Hi, Holly. There we go. 2 sponge rollers and a handle. Thank you, Amy. So I'm just fast fusing this to its smoky slate mat. And you remember that little piece of Whisper White that I showed you earlier that I have embossed with the Layered Leaves Dynamic Teeth? I'm going to also mat that on some smoky slate. Oh, and that's dead. All right, let me see if the other one's got some in it. There we go. Because, you know, the only thing worse than running out of fast fuse is replacing the refill on tape. All right, so here we go. Alrighty. Now, I have a little piece of Myths and Magic specialty washi tape, and I'm going to use that to create just a little bit of, thank you, Verna. Yes. You know what I'm talking about, like when the clouds are out there and they start to break and the sun comes down and those beams, the beams come down. That has to be godlight. It just has to be. Anyway, so that's this. The washi tape is for this little piece right here. And so let me show you how I did this to put it on. So I lined up my embossed panel, and then I just laid the washi tape about where I was going to want it. About there, that's a little too high. I'm not pushing down on this side. What I'm going to do is push down on the side that is adhered to the card front, and then you can just kind of lift that up and slide it out, and there you go, ready to go. And now I'm going to use liquid glue to put this piece on. Jacob's Ladder, that one works. All right. Isn't it funny? When I lived in New Mexico, New Mexico was one of the best weather places I have ever lived. And we'd get those afternoon high desert storms, and then the clouds would break and it would shine, the light would shine down on the mountains. It was absolutely the most spectacular place I've ever seen. All right, and now I'm just going to adhere this onto the front of the card like that. All right, easy and also peasy. Okay, now before we began our adventure today, I heat embossed in silver a couple of these flourish images from Hold On to Hope, and then I cut it with the matching die in the Cross of Hope framelits. Okay, so pretty easy. So what we're going to do is we're going to adhere this to the panel with some liquid glue and another little tiny piece of Stampin' Dimensional. I'll show you that in a half a second. And there's two pieces. The first one is on the bottom. And then I'm going to take my little dimensional strips here. Hey, Sharon. Where in New Mexico again? Remind me. Sharon. Okay, so what I've done is I've just got a little strip of my dimensional, and I'm putting it right under this little leaf that wants to stick out because I don't want it rolling around and moving and doing all sorts of weird stuff. Now I'm going to repeat the same technique exactly with the other flourish. Alrighty. And I'll just put that right there. It's not really rocket science. You just kind of want it to be pretty. Pretty. Cut another little piece of my dimensional strip. Never forget and always remember the whole panel of dimensional stuff is dimensionals. It is the edge, but it's also the edge. 60 miles into, oh, Clovis, okay. Down south some, yeah. Okay, now what I'm doing is I'm just putting this little piece of dimensional under this little sticky out leaf to give it some support. There we go. Done, yeah. Air Force Base in Clovis. Is that Holloman? I think, maybe. All right, now, remember my stacked cross? Hang on a minute, you guys. I'm going to have a coughing fit, so let me get a little drink right quick. Cannon. Cannon is close. Oh. Cannon Air Force Base. I'd forgotten about Cannon being in New Mexico. And I shouldn't have, because when I was in pilot training, I had to do a cross country to there. My instructor pilot managed to get us a gig. It was going to be a great deal to go to an air show there. And he talked me into doing that. And so I did my cross country from Lubbock, Texas to Clovis, New Mexico. And then his wife showed up, and he went off with his wife for the whole weekend, and I got to sit by the airplane at Clovis. It was really quite, it was kind of a jet, y'all. I'm just saying. Okay, so what I have done is I've put Stampin' Dimensionals on the back of my cross. And I'm going to pull off the covers like so. Thank you, Verna. And I'm going to use those dimensionals to wind some silver metallic thread, okay? And yeah, this is a little persnickety too, but just take your time, it'll be okay. You'll be okay. So really I'm just using those, and then I'm going to just kind of wind some circles around. And I used quite a lot of it, actually, because I kind of liked how it looked. It looked like a halo to me. So... and I go back to, it's my card. I can do what I want. Don't have to depend on Hallmark to decide how my card looks. I get to do it myself. All right, here we go. And just a few more wines. Look at that. By the time I've done 3 of them, I'm starting to get it. It's like I know what I'm doing. Almost like I'm a trained professional. Okay. And when you're thinking you're about right, I didn't forget it. I blocked it. Yes, you are correct. It was not my favorite place to go. And doing a cross country, when you fly across country, it's a thing where you depend on ground landmarks to tell you when to turn. Well, let me tell you a little secret. Between Lubbock, Texas, and Clovis, New Mexico, no, not a lot of ground landmarks. So I was relatively lost for much of the flight, but I do think he understood that there was nothing to look at. So I didn't hook it, but it's a little embarrassing. All right, so now I'm just going to go ahead and pop this on, try to make it sort of straight, because I can see my white cross is not sort of straight. It's actually sort of crookedy, but it's going to have to be okay, because I'm not going to try to pry it up. It's a little too delicate. Okay, so there is that. I embossed the flourishes, yes. That is correct, Ginger. I embossed them in silver on a piece of white, Whisper White cardstock. And then once all of the embossing had cooled, I ran them through the Big Shot with the die cut. That would be an almost impossible cut to do first and then stamp, especially given that this is a clear set and not photopolymer. So emboss and then die cut. Okay? Did that answer the question? Yeah. Show us the cross against a dark background. Oh, yes. Sorry. Too late. I'm sorry. Here, hang on, I'm going to stand up. Hang on. Can you see it? There you go. And here it is on the pink. Is that better? Can you see it now? Yeah? Okay, I hope. Sorry, Jean. I missed that part of the comment. Okay, as we said earlier, I have already stamped the sentiment. It's from Hold On to Hope on a piece of Whisper White cardstock, and then I cut it with this die in the bunch of banners framelits. And this is what resulted. So I'm going to just cut and emboss and making them solid. Oh, no, it's a stamp, Ginger. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to edge my banner with my basic black Stampin' Write marker, just because that does give a little definition to die cuts. And I also tend to do it when I fussy cut something, just either use a black marker or a color similar to whatever the fussy cut is, like that. It gives it a little bit of oomph. Now, since what you have here is 2 layers of dimensionals, essentially, I'm going to pop this on, and I'm going to use 2 dimensionals under the ends. And the banner is exactly the right size for a large Stampin' Dimensional. You just have to kind of get it on there right. So lift off the cover and put a 2nd dimensional right over the top. And do the same on the other end. Like so. And lift the covers off. She says, unable to grab the cover at all. All right. And a little liquid glue in the middle. Okay. And then we're going to just put that on. Like, I'm gonna have to hold my breath and talk real quiet. Okay, like that. And I'm gonna get my gum eraser and hope that is glue. Yes, it is. Oh wait, no, it wasn't glue. I think it might have been a little piece of thin hair. Okay, There's that, like so. Now, just because I can, on the blue one, perhaps you can see, I used my Marina Mist marker, and I just barely colored in the words. Hopefully you can see that. The words, because it's got kind of an open font, which is nice, but I also like the hint of color. So I'm going to do it again, but this time I'm going to use my powder pink, because the Marina Mist would look funny on a pink card. So I'm just going to kind of color that lightly, and I'll hold this up in just a second so you can see it. This is one of those little touches that I don't think anybody'd go, oh look, she colored in that font. Isn't that so cool? It's just something that some piece of your brain registers that it's full. There, can you see that? Okay. All right. And y'all, that is the card front. That's all there is to that. So easy and peasy. It really is easy. There's a few parts. Obviously, there's parts to it. I can't get rid of all the parts, but none of them are difficult. So do not be intimidated by this card by any stretch. Okay, as a reminder where we're headed on the inside, I used a double liner. One thing that I did want to make sure of is that I embossed my flourishes opposite each other so that it would look like a cohesive card. So let us make that right quick like a bunny. All right, now before you joined today, I got my stamps set up on my Stamp-N-Jig. And I have the wonderful Bible verse from Hold On to Hope. And then I have a second sentiment that I pulled from the Thoughts and Prayers stamp set. And I'm going to emboss them on 2 pieces of Whisper White, not emboss, stamp. And I'm going to do it in Tuxedo Black Memento ink. Okay? So you'll want to use your Stamp-O-Majig for this. And we'll start with the sentiment from Hold On to Hope. And just get it kind of centered like that. And it would help if I did this one right side up as well. Now, I know most of you have seen... Bye, Linda. Have a good time making your cookies for your husband. Thank you for joining. All right. And we're just going to stamp that down. Hold it a beat. And then I'm going to set it aside so that it can get good and dry. And while it is doing its drying thing, I will stamp the other sentiment. Oh, but I will be turning that page, that cardstock over. Man, I'll tell you what, might as well be wearing a white t-shirt, for goodness sake, Mary. Did y'all see what I did? Somehow I drug that right across that ink pad. Okay. So we're just going to center that up like so. You know I don't own a white t-shirt that doesn't have a spot right on the center of it, right? I don't know, it's just a thing. Keep your SU trash bin on the table works great. Yes, that's a good idea. I could do that. All right. And ink that up. And I've shown everybody how to set up the Stamp-O-Majig before, so I'm hoping nobody needs to see it. If you do, let me know, and we'll do that at the end. But for now, let me set that dangerously black piece of paper ink pad aside. All right, so now this is good and dry. And I'm going to do my embossing. So I'm going to go ahead and rub it with my embossing buddy. And I did actually, what I did is to set up my Stamp-O-Majig for my Versamark, I used some black ink to start with, and then I cleaned it real good so that I can see it, because obviously you couldn't see Versamark on this panel. So we're just going to set that up like that. You do want to be sure that your black ink has dried. Ask me how I know. We'll just set that like so and pull that aside. And then somewhere around here is my Versamark ink pad. Oh, there it is. Okay, here we go. And I pulled this out just for you guys, my brand new Versamark ink pad. I'm going to ink up the flourish. And we're going to remove the fin hair. Okay, jeez. And then we're going to stamp that down right there, like that. Your embossing buddy's not, or parts that aren't stamped. You may need a new one, Karen. They do kind of run out. They don't last forever, and you can probably tell mine's getting a little bit, or you can just kind of poof it around like that. You need to be sure that when you ink it, or when you rub it, you can kind of see white powder, or, you know. And you have to be generous with it also, is my only tip. You have to be generous. And we're going to pull out my bottom and then lift it. I noticed that you put your stamp near the bottom and then lift it to where you... Oh, yeah. So when I do that, Nyoka, what I'm doing is I'm lining the... See how the... See how the sentiment is straight across? I'm kind of eyeballing it straight on the panel, and then I'm moving it up, trying to not move it, so that I have some hope of it being straight and not cockamamie. And I do get a lot of cockamamie, even doing all of that. So that's why I'm doing that. Hey, Mattia, yes, a dryer sheet would probably work too, in lieu of a stamping buddy. Okay. Then you want to blow your excess embossing powder off, and do take a minute to look, because once you heat it up, you're kind of done, right? You can't really brush it off once you've heated that embossing powder. What in the world is that? Oh, look at this, people. I have a stray piece of red tape. So I don't know about you guys, but I tend to keep this cheap. No, did I say cheap? I meant highly expensive little brush near my crafting area, so that when I see stray stuff that I don't want there, I can pick it up. All right. So I blow it to get any excess off, and then I look to be sure I don't have anything left that I don't want. Yes, whap it on the card to get puffs coming out. Very good. The technical term is, in fact, whap it. Whap it good. Yeah, okay. So I'm going to emboss this. I'll stop attempting to be funny, because I am not. There we go. Okay. There's that one. Gonna set it aside and let it dry, because you know, when this is warm, it's still kind of, you can kind of smush it a little bit, and you don't want to do that. So we're going to go ahead and do the other one as well. We'll just brush that a little bit, pull back the stamping jig, and see, I almost put it in the wrong corner. So there we go. All right. Okay. And this is repeat much of the same. And then when I get done with this one, I'm going to do the front of my envelope right quick. And then I'll be done with embossing. All right. Hold a beat. Hold a beat. Pick it up. A Swiffer to sweep up powder that gets on your grid paper. That's a good idea. I never get any powder on my grid paper. It just doesn't happen. Because I am the modicum of neatness. Everybody's going, oh, Mary, you lie, you lie. So you can see I have a little bit of embossing powder where I don't want it. So just touch it up, get rid of it with my brush. Okay, and then we'll emboss her. Hey, Jamie. Paula, were you trying to keep me from embossing with that mess everywhere? Alright. And there's that one, and we'll set it aside and do a quick stamp on my envelope. Make sure I'm putting it in the correct corner. And this is not quite as critical, so I'm not going to use the Stamp-A-Majig. I am going to give it a whop like that. Thank you for that term, Sharon. And we're just going to emboss this in the corner like so. All right. Do I use low? Okay, so when you are embossing, you want to use the high speed, and you use the low if you are attempting to like dry some ink. Then that would be what you would want the low setting on. So to heat emboss, you want to use the high one. All right, I'm just gonna pick those up. And you notice that when this is in the center of my design, I'm not really brushing, I'm tapping the excess so that it loosens it from the card, and then I can blow it off. And there we go. And so one more time on high speed. You're welcome, Karen. Jamie, I appreciate you joining me tonight. Good of y'all to join on your Sunday evening. All right, and there's that. And while we've got it here, we'll dry it off and fix our envelope flap. And then all we have to do is a little bit of fast infusion. Some fast infusion. All right, remember I colored my strip of Petal Passion DSP when we first started? Look at that. How did I get embossing powder on my grid paper? Okay. And we'll just put this on like so. And do a quick fussy cut. A love-hate relationship with embossing. Well, it is frustrating when it doesn't work. But when it does work, it's magic. It's magic. And I think it's like anything. The more of it you do, the better at it you get. Like coloring with stamping blends. It just takes practice. And 9 times out of 10, I get done with it and think, oh, that's horrible. And then everybody says, oh, that's beautiful. So, remember, most of the time we are our own worst critics when it comes to our stamping and crafting. Okay, I'm just going to set this aside, and then I'm going to just do some serious fast fusing. Oh, not with that one, though. There you go. And we're going to mat these up on their smoky slate. Oh, no, come on. All right, hang tight, people. Hang on. You're going to get to see public refilling. Never, never good. Do not hold this against me. Make sure I know which way it's supposed to go. I think that way. That looks about right. Pull this out. Come here, you bugger. There we go. Drop that in the trash. Murmuring amongst yourselves. Patricia, you know, we used to have a, shoot, did I put that on wrong? Maybe not. We used to have envelope liner framelits, and I really liked them, and I did every single envelope with them. And then Stampin' Up! Discontinued them, so I stopped. And then somebody pointed out, the nice thing about doing the outside is that you get to see the prettiness even before you open it up, as opposed to a liner where you need to open it to see it. Now, you could do both, certainly, if you have a template or if you've still got those framelit dies. I'll never say I don't like a lined envelope, because I do. So if you've still got them, you could certainly do that as well, or instead of, certainly your choice. Absolutely. Okay, let's see if I got this right. Here we go. Look at that. Bing, bada, boom. It's almost like I knew what I was doing. And there we go. So we will just get these matted up, like so. How many times do you think I'll grab that dead one? A few more dozen? Yeah, probably. All right, you guys, I wouldn't be a very good demonstrator if I didn't remind you that Celebration is going on. And what is so cool about Celebration? Somebody tell me. And no, it's not the free stuff. What's the really good thing about Celebration? Do, 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 do. Nobody knows what is so great about Celebration. I think I must have thrown you when I said it wasn't the free stuff. New products, yes, that's one thing, Sharon. True. Okay, I'm going to tell you. The best part about it is the sign-up bonus. Yes, it's like a signing bonus with the NFL, only it's better because it's stamp sets. So you already get the awesome starter kit, $99, $125 worth of product. And then, because it's Celebration, you get to pick 2 extra stamp sets. Hello, that is a hell of a good deal. All right, so this one is the Thoughts and Prayers sentiment, and it's going on the first flap. And then very similar to, you know, all those Hallmark cards you see where there's a sentiment on both sides. This is not unheard of by any stretch. I got it, but you didn't see it. I just got a free set. Yes, what did you get, Nyoka? Something fun? Okay, that's it. I'm putting it away. I've grabbed it every single time. All right. And this will be the last one, like so. And just kind of try to line everything up. I love how the smoky slate and the silver look with the black. I think it's elegant, and I think it's perfectly suited to a Sympathy card. So, now, typically I would, as you are aware, I would pop my card front on with dimensionals, but I've already got a double layer of dimensionals on here, so I'm going to use liquid glue. Oh, good, Nyoka, you got Amazing You. That's a good stamp set. Have you gotten the Celebrate You Thinlits that go with it yet? And I love that ribbon. Mattia, I just used the ribbon on a card for next week, so it's very pretty. There's good things in the Celebration catalog this year. I really like them. All right, and then we'll just lay this down to be sure I'm putting it on the correct face. Don't ask me why I check it like that. You should be able to tell. Okay, there we go. And that is in place. Give it a little bit of a burnish. Alrighty. And I kind of like the symmetry of this. So I'll be sending 3 cards to 3 different places. 2 of them for the daughters of Granny. Well, obviously not their Granny. And 1 for her son. All the same design, just looks a little different by coloring that beautiful Petal Passion DSP, just a different color. What do y'all think? Okay? I think they'll like it, don't you? So, I do appreciate you spending your time with me. And I hope that that you'll get this stamp set and bundle before it's gone. I don't have any guarantee that it'll go into the annual catalog, although I'm crossing my fingers. So get it before it leaves and take advantage of Celebration, y'all. So I am out, and I will see you guys next week. Thank you so much. Bye-bye.